I went on a little fall hike with my daughter this week, and it inspired these little wood slice necklace paintings and an afternoon of baking. I'm trying to get better about planning. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? But I planned to do a little watercolor sketch while hiking, and I failed. I was too busy enjoying the morning with my little girl. I want to remember to walk in love, even if doing so messes up my plans. I also planned to feed the box of old apples I was given to my chickens, but it was too many apples, and so after hiking near the apple orchards in Oak Glen, I was inspired to get creative and see what else I could do with them. Join me for some art and fall baking while we talk about our faith this Friday. Proverbs 16 verse 9 says, "The mind of man plans his ways, but the Lord directs his paths." When I'm thinking about how to be intentional with my plans while also allowing the Lord to direct my path, I'm reminded of the story of Jesus that's found in Mark chapter 6. Mark 6:31, Jesus says to his disciples, "Come away by yourself to a secluded place and rest a while." For there were many people coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat. So they went away in a boat to a secluded place by themselves. Jesus knew that his disciples needed time to rest. They needed time away from the crowds. So he was intentional about finding that time. But as we continue to follow their story, we see that the people saw them going, and many recognized them and ran there together on foot from all the cities and got there ahead of them. So when Jesus went ashore, he saw a large crowd, and he felt compassion for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. So Jesus was intentional about taking time to rest, about planning time away from the crowds with his disciples. But when he was faced with a need, when the people came to him, he reacted with compassion. Jesus modeled this intentionality and this compassion for us so beautifully throughout his ministry. For me, taking time to hike and paint are great ways for me to rest and recharge. But as a mom, I know my quiet time, my time of rest, will be interrupted. I want to respond with compassion when that happens. I want to be able to look for moments of rest, but serve selflessly when the needs come up and when my time of quiet is interrupted. Now, this little story is the introduction, the events leading up to Jesus' miracle where he fed 5,000 people, where he showed to his disciples and to those who were following him that he is the one who is able to provide all that they need. He'd asked the disciples, "If the people are hungry, what can we feed them? You feed them." And the disciples were overwhelmed with that idea. They did not have enough food to feed all of these people. But Jesus was able to take the little that they gave him, the little that they did have, and use it to bless all of these people. God can take the little that I have, the little energy, the little bit of skill, the little bit of time, and use it in great ways if I give it over to him. This little project of making things with these apples was not something I planned, but it turned out to be a great blessing and a fun time for me and my kids. We got to use a new tool that we hadn't used, and all of my kids wanted to try it. I may have had different plans, but being open to follow what God would have me to do and how he would want me to serve my family gave me this great opportunity to make little apple chips and little applesauce and even an apple pie for my family. If we're seeking to walk in wisdom in our Christian walk, then we want to make the most of our time. We want to plan. We want to set ourselves up for success. In Proverbs 6, verse 6, it says, "Go to the ant, O sluggard, observe her ways and be wise, which having no chief, officer, or ruler, prepares her food in the summer, and gathers her provisions in the harvest. How long will you lie down, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Your poverty will come in like a vagabond, and your need like an armed man." Sometimes what we think is just a little rest, that we need a little self-care, can turn into hours of scrolling on our phone or mindlessly watching TV. And God warns us against that kind of laziness. We are challenged to look to the ant and be encouraged to work and prepare and store up for ourselves the things that we will need. I also want to contrast that with what Jesus taught in Matthew chapter 6, starting in verse 25. He says, "Do not be worried about your life as to what you will eat or what you will drink, nor your body what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow, nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not worth much more than they? And who of you, by being worried, can add a single hour to his life? Why are you worried about clothing? Observe how the lilies of the field grow. They do not toil, nor do they spin. Yet I say to you that not even Solomon in all his glory clothed himself like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? Do not worry then, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear for clothing? For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will care for itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." So if we compare those two pictures of the ant storing away, not being lazy but preparing for the time ahead, and the bird that does not store away in barns, but God provides for that little bird. Maybe success is a little bit less about planning and more about working hard and trusting God. Thanks for watching, and until next time, walk in love, walk in light, and walk in wisdom.